Battery Park City Authority. I'm here to start the first of 2 art lessons working with painted paper collage to make an animal in an environment. We're going to be looking at some of the parks in Battery Park City for inspiration for our animal and for the place that our animal will be. And we're also going to do some stop motion animation to have our animal move within that background. So we have a lot to do, and let's get started. Before we start our artwork, today we're going to plan what kind of animal we'd like to make. Here are some photographs of a ruby-throated hummingbird seen in South Cove on a trumpet vine trellis in the parks of Battery Park City that I chose to use for inspiration. You can also use any animal that you would like to make your collage. Think about an animal that you connect with and try to find a picture of it to see the colors, patterns, and textures you'll need to make. We're going to talk about texture. I'm going to add some yellow to my paper here. I'm going to start mixing my colors on my palette now. I'm going to make some orange. And I'm going to put the orange right on top of the yellow, so I'm going to start to layer it. That means just put one thing right on top of the other. And then I'm going to see if I can use my little brush to kind of scrape some of this away so you can see the yellow through it. I'm kind of making marks in the paint to create a texture. Almost like a furry texture. I'm gonna try this again. I'm gonna put some, let's put some yellow again. Oh, it has a little bit of blue in it. It's a really nice transparent color right here. Let that dry just for a second. And I want to put maybe some red on top this time. So I'm layering my paint again. And this time I'm going to kind of scrape into it with the other side of my brush. You could also use, if you have an extra comb or some other tools in your house, to try out different techniques like this. And if I make lines in my paint, scratching away, I can make them go in different directions so they could cross each other. And this one kind of looks, if this one looks a little bit furry, this one almost looks maybe like it could be a different kind of fur or feathers. So you can just try different ways of kind of moving the paint around to create different textures and see what you like. So we've been experimenting, just trying out making textures and colors, but I said we wanted to make the colors for a painted paper animal. So I have the hummingbird, and I want to see if I can just make as many colors as possible that I saw in the hummingbird. So for the hummingbird, I'm going to need some gray, some green, orange, black, white, and I'm going to need more than one shade of each color. So you notice the green, there's dark green, there's light green, there's shiny green. And I noticed the texture of the bird has little lines in it, and the front of his chest has little spots in it. So I'm going to try to make those colors and textures right here on my paper. I'm not going to try to make a painting of the bird. I'm just going to try to make as much of each color that I need to make him about 2 hands large. All right, so let's see. I need a lot of gray, first of all. So I'm gonna get a little bit of black. And I'm gonna think about maybe making about this much of my paper gray. So I'm just adding some black to my paper, and my brush is a little bit wet, which I like because it's showing some variation. Get a little bit more water for this acrylic. And I noticed the feathers, some parts are lighter and some parts are darker, so maybe I want to make this part a little bit darker, get a little more paint. And on this end, I'm going to put a little bit more actually. I want to make it a little bit lighter, so I'm going to add some white. And you can see that's a really, really different kind of gray. Add a little bit more black to it. All right, that's about what I want. So this is going to be the gray to make the wings. And now I want to make some greens for the top of his head, underneath the wing, and the back of him towards his tail. So let's get some blue to start with. I'm going to use some water to kind of make this very transparent and really spread it out. So this is going to be the color, just the color. And as I paint, sometimes I add more water, less water for his head and chest. Now to make it green, I'm going to add some yellow. And I'm going to keep mixing it. And just like I said, I don't want to have just one kind of green, so that part is kind of a darker green. I'm going to get more yellow here to make this a lighter green. If I have a little extra on my brush, I can always put it over here, just make some extra paper, put it on my palette. Okay, so I have dark, lighter. And I think I'd like to make some with a little bit of white. So I'm gonna spread this up here and just get a little bit of white to mix in here. It feels like maybe the blue is dry, so I'm gonna add a little more and make kind of a nice aqua color. I mean a light green. Great. I noticed that the bird has kind of a feathery texture, so I'm going to take a small brush again, and I want to see if I can make lines in here. Yes. To create texture. So that blue layer from underneath is shining through right now, or showing through. I'm going to do that over here. So this is, again, the color and texture that I'm going to cut out to make the bird's green areas, the hummingbird's green areas. All right. So we have green, we have gray. I'm going to use a little bit of this to make even a lighter green. I had a little green on my brush. So nothing goes to waste when you do this kind of thing. Just use your extra paper and put any color down there. I really like that brush stroke actually. And I need to make just a couple more things. There's a few areas that are kind of a turquoise. There's a few areas that are white, and there's a few areas that are red. So let's get started. Maybe the white right here. This is the white for his chest. And I noticed some of those areas have a little tiny gray dots in them. So I'm gonna kind of use my brush, just the corner of my brush, to make those tiny little dots for the bird. Oh, and I noticed some parts of his chest have that too. So here, this was gonna be the gray parts of his chest has a few more black spots as well. All right, let's make the red for his head here. So this red is a much kind of more rose colored red. I'm gonna add some yellow to it. And the coppery, nice kind of color. And again, it looks very feathery. I'm gonna see if I can add a little more yellow. And if I can scrape again to make texture. Because I notice each of those areas has feathers that are made up of tiny, tiny, tiny little lines. Okay. It doesn't really look like it, but these are going to be all the colors, textures, and patterns that I need to make my hummingbird. So now it's time to transform this abstract color painting into our hummingbird. So I'm going to think about the shapes now of my hummingbird. We've already thought about the color, the texture, the pattern, and I'm going to start to cut out this paper into the shapes that I need to layer the pieces together. So let me think about the full shape of the body. If I could draw it on paper, just to practice, it might look something like this. There's a long curved shape, and he has a long beak. And the wings are almost like fans, almost like a triangle that's curved on one side and bumpy. So I want to keep those shapes in mind while I start to cut. Let's start with the wings. So I said the wings are kind of like a long triangle, just a very basic shape to start. I notice that wing is kind of bumpy on the top, and on the edge, it's really bumpy. So I'm gonna try to use my scissors to cut to create that line. That looks a little better. That's closer to what I want. And I'm gonna save all these because you might need them. Okay, that's gonna be the wing, and actually what I see is it's gonna be a little bit more like this. Okay, there's wing one. And I'm gonna make the other wing. The other wing is behind. So this wing, can't see the whole thing. I think the wings are going to go like that. Let's make the body next. So I'm going to get my paper, cut out this part that I made for the body. And let's see, we have the chest. kind of a curved line. Down here on the bottom, it's like a zigzag line. I'm gonna leave that white on the top, so that can go right there. So for the tail, I'm gonna start to use the green and more of the gray. So I see the bottom of the tail is kind of this form. I think I see even a zigzag inside there. Better. And let's use this for the rest of the tail. I see the end of the tail is very pointy. And let's put this underneath. Our bird's coming along. We'll need some, ooh, this other side of this looks perfect actually for the neck area. So I'm gonna put this part here. Oh, and maybe I'll use this other part that I made for the neck. And I see there too, there's a zigzag line. You know what, I'm changing my mind. I think I like this better. You can always change your mind while you work. It's the beauty of art. I'm gonna put this piece here to make the back of his neck, or her neck there. Ooh, this piece right here actually looks perfect to go underneath here. And now we're up to the head. So for the head, we need the red, which I see has kind of a bump line on the end of it there. That's the ruby throat, right, for the hummingbird. We want some black on top of that. So maybe again, I'm gonna make it the shape that I see for the neck. I wanna make the beak, that really long shape with a little bump on top. There's the beak. And we need the top of the head. And we need the eyes. So to make the eyes stand out, I'm gonna take this paper. I want the eye to contrast. So I'm gonna try to cut the circle right here and then make the eye right on top. Okay, let's put him a little closer together here. So we gotta move it. I think just a little adjusting is gonna make this part better. Move the feathers down. Let's start to glue them together. And this is when we can really focus on making sure everything is in the right place. I think here I'm gonna change it a little bit, and instead of having it so straight, I'm gonna tear it. Add a little more detail here. And one thing I'm not gonna do, I'm not gonna glue the wings because I want those to move. Oh, I forgot the feet, so I'm gonna do that. And I wanna make sure that it's not stuck. And the more you layer, the more beautiful it will become. So here is my finished ruby-throated hummingbird. I didn't glue the wings yet because I want to make him move in the next section of our lesson when we stop motion animate our animal. Remember to leave the parts of your animal that you'd like to move unglued. And next time we'll also make a background for our animal, so keep any leftover painted paper you might want to use.